Now, a new device has been developed which the creators believe could change the way bowel cancer is detected in the UK forever. Well, their research shows it enhances early detection of the disease and reduces the cost of unnecessary investigations. Well, I've been speaking to Dr. Farid Iqbal, who has created this new technology. He spoke about how it could aid and potentially reduce the impact the disease has and the plans for rolling the device out and the technology in London and across the country.
What we've created is something called a digital rectoscope, which is a fancy way of saying it's a camera that goes inside a bottom, but at a point of care. So traditionally, the way doctors look at someone's bottom is to either put their finger in, which is the blind feel for looking for masses or serious disease, or they send the patient away for a more expensive, more invasive test called an endoscopy. And we felt as a company that there was something that could sit in the middle of that, which is not as invasive as a full camera, but is far more accurate than a finger. So it's a small camera, about sort of half a foot long, that is inserted by a specialist or a non-specialist that gives a really clear view of the rectum.
And, you know, in terms of, you mentioned there some of the more traditional or the ways that these kind of tests have been done in the past. You know, what are the shortfalls of doing it in that way in comparison to, you know, the new way that you've come up with, or this invention rather?
Well, there's significant shortfalls. I mean, you don't have to be an expert to know that putting a sort of finger up someone's bottom just to feel around in quite a large organ, it's inaccurate. A lot of patients find it a bit invasive and undignified. You can't capture, so if you do find something, you can't, or if you feel something, you can't really digitally capture that to pass on to your colleagues. So it's not accurate, it's not precise, it's not hygienic. So but doctors still need to have a look at inside your bottom. So what we've done is we've taken the advantages of a point of care test and brought some humanity, some precision, and made it more digital and into the 21st century.
And whereabouts are you in terms of rolling this out? Is this very much in the testing phase, or is this something that is now widely available, you know, either in private healthcare or on the NHS?
I would say that we're still early, but we've sold to 17 NHS trusts now, so we're pretty well known within the specialists. A few GP practices have now purchased this, because I think that's where the true long-term value is. It's not whether the specialist has this, it's when a non-specialist first sees that patient who may have seen some blood on their stool, etc. That's where we really want it to be. Internationally, we're in 10 countries, so it's still early, but I think its adoption has been pretty rapid for us.
Yeah, and just talking really from a patient point of view, you know, how can this help in terms of, is it early detection that you know, that this piece of technology, is it fair to call it that? You know, how will it help or perhaps reduce, you know, the numbers of people that are suffering with bowel cancer?
I think we hope that it will prompt patients to initially go to their general practitioner. But that's the first hurdle. And people generally are comfortable with their own family doctor than being sent away to, you know, larger hospital. It's a scary process to go through. And what we hope is that when they come to that first point of care in the healthcare system, there is a device that accurately says, hey, look, there's something not right here. That prompts a patient to be seen earlier and then diagnosed sooner. And similarly, those patients who don't have anything can be safely triaged out of a very overstretched healthcare system that we have. So rule in serious disease and rule out patients who are being inadvertently and unnecessarily pushed onto secondary care. That's the ultimate aim of the technology.
And in terms of the future of where you hope that this innovation goes, you mentioned there already that it is being rolled out, and you know, the NHS are backing it in a way by having purchased it for some of the trusts. You know, what's the sort of longer term goal with it?
Well, there's two elements to that. So we know that the connectivity of the device is key. So if there is something found, the software that comes alongside the device can dial somebody in real time, like a secondary care surgeon who can say, hey, look, I'm worried about that, and then that treatment can start. But the real next inflection, which we should achieve by next year, is machine learning, where the computer tells you whether the rectum's abnormal or not. It takes away that diagnostic pressure from the doctor or the nurse, and the machines will tell you whether you've got cancer or not.
Just talking more widely, about the issue of bowel cancer, it is one that we hear people talking about. It's not perhaps one of the lesser known cancers. How much does this disease affect Londoners? How much of an issue is it across the capital and, across the UK?
Well, it's a huge problem. I am a colorectal surgeon as well by training. I worked in several hospitals across London. It is overall the numbers are quelling, but the concern is the rates of cancer are increasing, particularly in the young. So those patients who think actually I'm too young to have cancer, the fastest it's almost doubling each year. So it is affecting Londoners, particularly in the sort of the younger age groups. And I think what this technology will do is put a layer of triage over those patients who think actually there's nothing wrong with me. We can know for certain on the first time they see a GP that there is something there. And I would add that bowel cancer is completely treatable, provided you get to it sooner. And unfortunately, if you look at the data across London and the UK, most of our cancers are diagnosed at a later stage, which is a real shame. If we catch early, we can absolutely cure cancer, this particular cancer.
Well, that was Dr. Farid Iqbal there with the latest on that technology.